And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Get together, have a few laughs.
How about a drink?
It's nasty, sickening behavior. Innocent people just standing there, getting slushies thrown at them from a passing car. And you won't believe who's throwing the drinks. They're uniformed police officers patrolling the streets of Louisville, Kentucky in an unmarked car. You can hear them yucking it up the entire time. They actually recorded their cruel antics and shared the video with some of their fellow cops. In this incident, a marked police car following them records a slushie hitting a pedestrian.
The outrageous attacks took place over 11 months in 2018 and 2019, but the video has only been obtained this week by the Courier-Journal newspaper following a Freedom of Information request. Locally, the scandal became known as Slushie-gate after at least 24 innocent civilians had slushies like this thrown at them.
The two officers in the undercover car were identified as Curtis Flynn, 40, and Brian Wilson, 36. They were members of an elite undercover drug task force. Both have pled guilty. Flynn was sentenced to 3 months. Wilson got 30 months. And it wasn't just slushies. The accused cops also seemed to take pleasure in driving through puddles, drenching people waiting at bus stops. The mayor of Louisville says the culture of the police department has changed and something like this could not happen again.
We've improved focus on supervision. Incidents like that will not be tolerated.
To protect and serve their city? Not even close.
Welcome to the Iowa Talk, guys. I'm your host, Theo.
And I'm Erock.
And I'm your host, TeePee.
And there you have it, to serve and protect, ladies and gentlemen. That's what those police are there to do. That's why your kids give them hugs at school and stuff.
Wow. So that was happening in 18 and 19. And shortly after that was the George Floyd riots.
Where was that again?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
I think they watched too much bum fights.
I couldn't imagine why the people in that area would be upset with the police.
Yeah, don't like the police. Though. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the police, necessarily. It's not never really...
Back the blue, baby.
Are you?
Yep, I got one of them bumper stickers.
Do you? Nice.
Hell yeah, why wouldn't you? Right next to my Dare sticker.
Well, there might be a couple reasons we can get into, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's funny that you ask. Should we get into it?
Well, Erock said something about bum fights.
Yeah, did you ever see those videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Who hasn't grown up in the 2000s?
I just want to let you know, I'm going to Vegas, and I just want to let you know, we're going to Vegas, and I'm going to fuck up everything in Vegas, okay?
And then remember when the creator went on Dr. Phil?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As Dr. Phil.
He put like...
He LARPed as Dr. Phil.
He put the bald wig on.
No, I think he actually shaved his head.
Oh, he did.
The Dr.
bald
Phil.
spot.
Yeah.
Really?
And a mustache and everything, yeah.
Why is he trying to appropriate my genetic condition, man?
Well, he did it to make fun of Dr. Phil.
Well, I understand.
And
Why not?
also
I watched it, but
to prove a point.
If you think I exploit people, every time you bring a guest on this show, you exploit them and spread whatever problems they have to the whole world. You think that's helping them?
Yeah, keep telling yourself that. You can go.
You know what? Who do you think you are, huh?
Bye.
Come on.
Huh?
Come on.
No, I'm not finished talking to you.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
And then Dr. Phil was like, "Get off my set. I'm not talking to you."
Well, that cash
just because he was dressed like him.
That Cash Me Outside girl, she got exploited through.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Phil.
Yeah,
Made
and she...
millions.
yeah, I know.
Bad Bait Barbie or what?
I don't know.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that Dr. Phil is an incredibly smart guy, but it's like...
Well, don't forget, he's like, that's Oprah's side bitch, remember?
Well, that's what I was actually going to say was it takes an incredible lack of self-awareness to talk about somebody else like that. And yes, let's just point out the elephant in the room that bum fights didn't have any tact whatsoever.
Yeah, no, it was terrible.
None.
It was terrible.
No.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, if you just peel a layer back and you think about it a little more, what kind of commercials were playing at the same time that Dr. Phil or Oprah were on? Or Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy. And don't get me wrong, I love Jeopardy. Jeopardy's one of like the
Bum fights
Alex
commercials?
Trebek is one of the greatest.
Bum
Alex
fight
Trebek's
commercials?
one of the greatest guys ever. Loved it. Loved Jeopardy.
Was,
of course. Rest in peace, Alex. We love you. But what sort of stuff was advertising? Drug companies were advertising at that time.
Yeah.
Well, what have we learned about pharmaceuticals now and whatnot? Yada, yada, yada.
Well,
so
that's another subject for another time.
Yeah, I guess. So, but the guy has a point. The bum fights guy has a point.
Yeah. But to Saki back to the opening video.
We're going to Jen Psaki back.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up what those guys were doing to be police officers. Like, what do you got? A bunch of fret boys just out on town?
Some people find it hard to believe that they are people and they'll do stupid stuff like that or even worse.
So they had a marked cruiser behind them, ensuring that they would not get pulled over by another police officer. And then in that video, and you hear in the beginning, like the patrol car behind them was laughing as they were smoking people with slushies and shit like that.
And hitting them with mud puddles.
Yeah.
To serve and protect. Well, shall we move on to the next serve and protect?
Just not too far from Louisville, Kentucky.
We're moving on to Fox 26 Houston here. And this is a big one, folks. This is nuts. This is absolutely crazy. And I haven't heard anybody talking about it. But then again, I'm pretty sheltered. 215 bodies found in Jackson, Mississippi, exposed. Fox 26 Digital and Isaiah Carey published January 8th, 2024. Updated the same day at noon. Jackson, an alarming situation has unfolded in Jackson, Mississippi, where 215 bodies were discovered buried in unmarked graves behind a state jail. Now, it's interesting because the initial response that everybody has there is they think, oh shit, they're killing prisoners or something, right?
Right, that's what I thought at first too.
Killing bums?
Are they having real bum fights in the jails? The gladiator games?
No. Families of the deceased were left in the dark until last month. Some grave sites were only identified by a number and a metal rod, raising concerns about the lack of transparency and respect in handling the deceased. In the 21st century, a frickin' post in the ground and a numbered.
I guess they're lucky it was that.
Isn't that...
But wouldn't that be weird? Like, what are all these posts out in this field for? Oh, nothing. We play horseshoes all the time.
I was wondering.
That's our horseshoe area.
That just looks weird. What are all these buzzards doing here? Which we haven't got to yet, but apparently there were buzzards all around as well.
Oh, we throw our leftovers out in that field too. When we're done playing horseshoes.
Yeah.
Like, what is your excuse for that?
The families of the deceased attorneys are calling. We are not laughing at the situation. We are, I guess, making a little light of an absolutely horrible situation.
Right.
And it ties into our point of, what's our point always?
Corruption.
These people, they're people, evil hearts. Man,
it's crazy.
The families of the deceased attorneys are calling for a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding these unmarked graves. The revelation began with Dexter Wade's death in March 2023, in which a police officer fatally hit him. So he wasn't in the prison. This dude's out on the street.
Just walking around minding his own business.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe he did something that is ill-advised. Who knows? You know, it's always smart to cross under streetlights. Just shit
Court
like that,
records
right?
And documents
Make sure there's not a
provided
car
in response
coming.
to public
I don't
records
know.
requests show that just before 8 p.m. on March 5th, Dexter was walking across Interstate 55, a 6-lane highway, when a Jackson police SUV, driven by an off-duty corporal, struck him in the southbound lanes. 24 minutes after leaving his mother's house.
Or maybe the cop was on his phone, texting and driving.
Yeah.
That's happened.
At the same time,
there's GoPro footage of that happening.
always assume that the car that you see coming your way is going to hit you.
Yeah, not that they're not paying
No.
attention.
I always pedestrian like I don't have the right of way, and I don't give a shit.
Here's how much I trust other drivers on the road. When I get to a one-way, I look both ways.
I don't.
I look both ways.
I don't.
You just fly out?
No, I don't trust them.
Oh, you don't look both ways in a one-way?
When it comes to trusting other drivers, here's how much I trust them. I don't.
Okay. So, Mr. Dexter Wade gets hit. His family is not informed of his death. And then he just gets buried out in that back lot.
In a body bag, I believe.
Holy smokes.
Just in a body bag. And it's shallow. They weren't deep.
They didn't even talk to the mob guys that are in prison there to be like, what's the best? What do we throw lime in before or after the body, or we do that both?
Once again, the private sector knows how to do things way better than the public sector.
Yeah.
And that's no shit. That's no shit. Mob guys know how to not get fucking caught killing somebody. To an extent, there's a ton of them that have been caught, right?
These officers had all these resources at their fingertips there in the Jackson.
Let's just throw a little dirt over them.
Actually, down there in Jackson, there's probably like, you need to cut them up and take them out to the gator swamp.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, Wade's case took a disturbing turn when it was revealed that he had identification on him.
Yeah. I remember, because I watched a few videos on this.
So when they dug up the body...
So now, hold up. They said they didn't know. When they hit him, the reason they did that was because they had
he was a John Doe.
They had no identification. And when they pull his... I'm sure that his body was in an absolutely terrible state in one of his front pockets. They find his freaking state-issued ID.
Damn. We forgot to look there. Sorry, guys.
Well, at least they left it.
Can we just chalk this one up to sloppy police work?
You know what? Hey, I'm trying to hide a body. TeePee, Erock, come on. Let's think if we're all on the state police team. Get rid of the fucking ID.
Well, they could have at least read some of their own police cases. Like,
we need to put this body 12 feet down. I don't know
either. I'm not going to speculate on the show about how to get rid of a body.
I know. But I'm just saying how sloppy. You said it.
Oh yeah, the mobsters down there probably had him cut him up and thrown in the gator. Heck, there was that one guy here.
There's plenty of hogs down there too.
Yeah, we have people throwing bodies into the Mississippi River all the time, trying to get rid of them.
I mean, that's not actually a good way to get rid of a body.
No, it's terrible, but
it will be found.
Yeah, they don't just sink like they do in the movies.
Maybe they couldn't check his pockets because he couldn't consent if he had any sharp objects that would poke him.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So they played the safe route. We just didn't check him at all.
You think they would have checked him for money?
But that's just one of the guys.
That's one out of the 215.
As I told you before the recording, in one of the videos I watched, it was one of the guys that was representing those families, or some of them. And he was a guy that we probably would jazz up under normal circumstances. I think he's like a BLM activist. I can't say he's a BLM activist, but he's an activist. Anytime I see that, I mean, what do you think?
This Arthur Reed guy, Silky Slim.
But yeah, Silky Slim. But he did say in the interview, he said, I got accused of race baiting right away. He said, I am representing people of all races. And yeah, it's not just black people or white people, or it's everybody. I mean, everybody.
Well, yeah, it's death doesn't discriminate, huh? Neither does the Jackson.
Yeah, neither does Jackson Police Department.
Yeah. So, Reed, down further in this article, Reed describes a grim scene at the burial site where buzzards flew overhead. The bodies were placed in shadowed graves without embalming, leading to a disturbing stench that attracted scavengers. He emphasizes the inhumanity of such treatment and calls for more dignified handling of the deceased. Yeah, no kidding. Like you said, dude, this is 2020.
Telling the family, but you know what happened? An officer freaked out. They hit and killed somebody, probably. And I gotta get. Oh shit! This is that guy. I think it mentions. It might not mention further down in this article, but I believe that the family might have had a lawsuit with.
Should we dig into these guys and see if they were Freemasons?
I don't know.
We'd have to look at the details on that.
Wild.
This deserves more investigation into. Obviously, that's something that we'll have to hit back on later, a couple months ago from now, or a year from now. We don't know. Depends. It took that story for the honeypot scheme to come out pretty quick. A couple months that we hit on it, but
yeah,
corruption all over, disgusting.
So according to an NBC News article, Dexter Wade, 37, was less than a mile from his mother's home when he was struck and killed by an off-duty police officer on March 5th. The corporal who alerted the police to the collision was not injured. Oh, thank God.
Oh, good thing yeah. So he was an off-duty police officer just driving around.
And he was not suspected of being under the influence of drugs or alcohol, nor was he cited for any traffic violations. The death was ruled accidental.
Guys, help me. I gotta hide this body.
Apparently, Dexter suffered severe injuries, including to his head.
Apparently.
Hiram Abiff needs some help.
A toxology report later noted that Dexter had PCP and methamphetamine in his system.
Nice. Not really, but...
What is PCP?
It's a drug. It's an upper.
Angel dust.
Didn't know you like to get wet,
Haven't you ever
though.
seen Training Day?
What's wet? Butt naked. Ill. Churn. Dust. PCP. Primos. E-Dog. That's what you had? That's what you were smoking. You couldn't taste it.
So it says an investigator. So get this. An investigator from the Hinds County Coroner's Office responded to the scene. He did not find identification on Dexter while examining him, but found a bottle of prescription medication in his pocket with his name on it.
Oh, man. That's, a good source of identification in that case.
So it says 3 days later, the investigator contacted the medical facility that had provided the prescription and received Betterson's name as Dexter's next of kin.
Never let the family know.
Oh, we got the next of kin's name, but we're just going to let it slide.
So Elliot said he called the number listed for Betterstein.
Didn't answer.
Yep. Went to voicemail. And he said he left a voicemail but got no response.
Tried to call him and tell him we hit and killed their family member, but...
Sorry, your inbox is full.
Yeah. We're not going to do anything sensible like show up in person and let you know this tragic news.
She claims she never received a call from him and was not able to access her Boost mobile phone
Dexter's
records.
mother
Check.
did not trust the police department. In 2019, her 62-year-old brother died after a Jackson officer slammed him to the ground. The officer was convicted of manslaughter, but is appealing. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit, accusing Jackson officers of excessive force, and attempting to cover up their actions, and accusing the city of failing to properly train and supervise the city's officers.
Oh, that's in a bad part of the neighborhood. We just might as well not go there. They won't answer it anyways. That's speculation, but
heinous. This whole situation is heinous.
Yeah, it really is. This is Law and Order can come and do a show about this.
And this is why I know some people look at you like you. Okay. I remember being in on vacation for spring break in Panama City Beach, and we go to this bar.
Check your privilege, bud.
And it's incredibly affordable if you just have a job. Otherwise, I wouldn't have went. And we're at this bar, and there's karaoke going on, and it's really cool. And we sit down next to this couple from Kentucky. They're older, and one of their kids is a cop. And they're just like, back the blue, back the blue. And I was like, in certain scenarios, yeah, absolutely. But in other cases, I was like, I've met some people before. They have no business being cops at all. And they just look at you like you have a phallus on your forehead if you don't back the blue automatically. And those people were no exception.
And that's unfortunate because I met some guys that were that are police officers, and they're good to go folks.
So have I. But obviously, people that hide bodies,
right? They're the ones that make it bad for everybody else.
My goodness,
look bad for everyone else. Yeah. So, well, the same stuff going on with speaking of people making it worse and making it bad for everybody else and making it bad for the good ones. So I'm sure most of you have already heard. Texas has activated its National Guard to go down and forcibly relieve the federal
Border Patrol,
U.S. Border Patrol agents. So this is an article from Texas Tribune, January 12, 2024. Feds say Texas is blocking Border Patrol from a section of the border. Ask U.S. Supreme Court to intervene.
This is by Uriel Garcia.
Thank you. The Justice Department says agents can't access 2.5 miles of the border and a boat ramp in Eagle Pass. Oh, was that the same place that, remember, there was a big dispute about those floating buoys?
Floating buoys, and they also shut down, Locomotive? We reported on that as well. They shut down,
Was that in the same area?
It was, in processing stations.
Was that in the same area? I think it was Eagle Pass. Yeah, I think they did take over a building and stuff, too. And let's get into this. So the Texas National Guard and state troopers have blocked U.S. Border Patrol agents from a 2.5-mile stretch of the Rio Grande in Eagle Pass, preventing federal agents from patrolling that part of the border, according to a court filing by the U.S. Department of Justice, escalating the clash between the state and federal authorities on the Texas-Mexico border. On Wednesday night, troopers and National Guards members... Wednesday night would have been January 10th. Thank you, Erock. On January 10th, the night of January 10th, troopers and National Guard members began to take full control, quote unquote, of the 47-acre Shelby Park, erected concertina wire and fencing at the park to close off access to the public. Eagle Pass Mayor Rolanda Salinas said... And he added that he was told that the park would be closed indefinitely, and the state took the action to prevent immigrants from illegally crossing into Texas.
I mean, it seems like it could be a play from both sides. Because what is concertina wire and whatnot going to do for 2.5 miles of border fence? Or border?
Well, the week prior, the Biden administration was asking the Supreme Court to allow the border agents to cut the razor wire that Texas had installed.
Right. And there's been videos, everybody's been seeing those videos where Border Patrol agents were cutting concertina wire and letting droves of immigrants in. Right? Everybody's seen those. It's been all over TikTok and Reddit and Insta.
I haven't, actually.
Maybe they haven't been on X. But maybe Theo's not looking in the right places.
I'm not.
But, I mean, and we've talked about it before on our show, dude. There's already 1.8 million illegal immigrants that have crossed the border.
Something like that, yeah.
And then you got jackasses like that one turd suggesting, we'll just give them jobs in the military. We'll get back to that, but yeah.
Who's that jackass?
What's his name? You know what I'm talking about, Erock? But yeah, he's suggesting that we give these immigrants military training, military jobs, secret clearances. And then probably also have them join the police forces as well.
Yeah.
because it's not corrupt enough. Just like all those Cuban immigrants that were flushed onto America by Cuba.
You know, it's not at all a stretch to say with where these people would come from. What are they going to do? Start taking bribes and stuff?
No, they would never do that. Just like
that's what they do where they come from. So how are these guys going to know any better? They'll be trained.
Yeah,
Dick Durbin.
Durbin, that was his
Illinois.
Fit. Yeah,
he wants to provide illegal immigrants with a pathway to citizenship and turn the military into a social welfare program.
Unfortunately, in certain areas, it already has been.
Well, getting back to this, Texas's new actions since the government's filing demonstrates an escalation in the state's measures to block Border Patrol's ability to patrol or even to surveil the border and be in a position to respond to emergencies, quote unquote, from Elizabeth B. Prelogar, the DOJ's Solicitor General, wrote in a filing to the Supreme Court.
It's like it's gaslighting at its finest. They have been stripped of their ability by the Texas National Guard to do what they haven't been doing the whole damn time anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they're saying also, apparently a White House spokesperson said that Governor Abbott has repeatedly proven that he is not interested in solutions and only seeks to politicize the border.
This is what these people do. They just create their own narrative.
Yeah.
They just create the story.
And then they're like, these guys are bad because they won't let these poor, starving immigrants in here.
You bet.
That need our help.
It doesn't matter that we don't know who they are.
Or
it doesn't matter that the whole group was a bunch of males.
Or if we do know who they are.
I'm perfectly fine with being sexist in these circumstances. Don't let a bunch of horny 15 to 20-somethings males come in the country. Don't do it.
Oh, why not? Well, here's another reason why the Texas National Guard is bad, though. Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
So
what'd you have, though, Erock?
I was just going to bring up the fact that we can't call them illegal aliens anymore.
Yeah.
Remember back in April of 2021, the Biden administration issued a memo by the Custom and Border Protection to use words as non-citizen or migrant.
Oh, okay.
So you don't offend them?
To reverse many of the anti-immigrant
even though they're breaking our laws
by former President Trump.
I mean, whatever.
And most of them don't even know what you're saying anyway.
I mean, laws are just shit that people in D.C. write on paper anyway.
Yeah, and they don't abide by them, so...
Don't even write on paper. Yeah, they have cocaine-fueled sex parties and traffic children and shit.
Yeah, allegedly.
Lockheed Martin pays them.
Here's another example of why this is really bad for our country, why the Texas National Guard doing this, and Governor Abbott's just a terrible person. This is a MSN story by Shuneen Miranda. Texas border agents, this is January 14th, 2024. Texas barred border agents from helping migrants who later drowned, DHS says. How dare they? Homeland Security is calling Texas immigration policies, quote, cruel and inhumane, unquote, after 3 migrants drowned while trying to cross the U.S. southern border, after Texas military officials prevented Border Patrol agents from helping them on Friday.
It has nothing to do with the incentive to come in the first place.
Yeah. It's the freaking Texas National Guard's fault that they couldn't swim. Get around those buoys.
Yeah, we need that. When we give them cell phones and all that money, we also need to include swimming lessons.
Yes, good call.
And here's another thing.
Most of the hotels they stay at have pools.
With the amount of water that we had in our river up here this year, how the hell do they have water in their river? Must got a lot of snow. I don't know. Snow, rain. What river's that? The Rio Grande?
Yeah.
They did. So that starts in southern Colorado. And I know they got snow like over Thanksgiving. A ton of it. Anyway, that's wild. Because that some bitch is usually dry. I think that shit's mostly dry down there.
It depends on the spots, right?
Yeah.
What they're saying is tragically a woman and 2 children drowned in the Shelby Park area of Eagle Pass, which was commandeered by the state of Texas earlier this week. Just so happened there was no drownings before or anything that I remember hearing about, or that they were making a big deal about.
Yeah, I'm sure that but nobody ever drowned there.
Just as
when
soon,
the feds had it, I bet nobody ever,
because they're so much better. So yeah,
or MSN and the rest of them just didn't tell you because that's what they do.
Yeah,
and that's who they are.
Well, in this, they said in responding, quote, in responding to a distress call from the Mexican government, Border Patrol agents were physically barred by Texas officials from entering the area, unquote. Why? They're in contact with the Mexican government, and the Mexican government's like, hey, we got some people drowning over here, amigo. And they're like, oh.
Aren't you going to do something about it?
Aren't they still on the Mexican side? Well, yeah, but we can't swim.
That was a bad joke.
Isn't that why they don't have a good Olympic team?
Yeah.
Do they not?
They are good boxers, buddy.
I think they have really good cliff divers.
No, it's a joke. You've never heard that joke?
No.
The spokesperson also said, quote, the Texas governor's policies are cruel, dangerous, and inhumane. And Texas's blatant disregard for federal authority over immigration poses grave risks, unquote.
So walking those distances through that land is cruel and inhumane. The fact that this railroad exists in the first place and they are using now to politicize is just, it's indicative of who they are as people. They're obviously crazy sociopaths.
Well, yeah, like I said, and the shit the coyotes are doing down there, raping children, beheading children.
What I'm saying, the fact that this industry exists is because they have allowed it to.
Right.
And now the humanity gets brought into it. Well, it's not now, it's the humanity gets brought into it when there's political shit going on. You know, I saw a video actually of a 10-year-old boy just walking alone down there. Have you ever looked at the scenery down there? You're not going to find water. You're not going to find water. Not at the border. The whole area. I mean, the whole just southern Arizona, southern New Mexico, El Paso.
They don't have to worry about that. They're getting rides from the government.
Well, not this kid. He was all alone, walking around all alone out there, and Border Patrol agents found him. It's wild. So,
anyway, yeah.
Weren't hearing about the humanity then.
The inhumanity, yeah.
Like when AOC was crying.
Yeah. Bullshit.
Speaking of bullshit, New York Post, January 16, 2024. By Adam Shaw. The Biden administration, in a new filing to the Supreme Court, has admitted that 3 migrants, who drowned last week, died long before Border Patrol agents sought access to the Shelby Park area, from Texas officials, after the administration had blasted the Lone Star State over the incident.
Let's move on here. So this is an article that Theo found, the Newsweek one. You want to read that, buddy?
Yeah, this is by Newsweek. Record number of suspected terrorists crossed the U.S.-Mexico border. Opinion by Todd Bensman, October 28th, 2022. Just a few years ago, major U.S. media outlets called President Donald Trump a liar when he proclaimed that Islamic terrorist suspects were illegally crossing the southern border among far more numerous Spanish-speaking immigrants. Quote, fact check. End quote. Columnists swore such terrorist crossings never happened. But since April of 2022, when U.S. Customs and Border Protection began publishing the monthly number of border crossers who were on the FBI terrorism watch list, it has become impossible to ignore the record-breaking numbers of suspected terrorist crossings. Final fiscal year 2022 numbers show Border Patrol apprehended a whopping 98 watch-listed terrorists at the southern border. 6 times the record. 15 caught there in 2021. 3 were caught in 2020 and none in 2019. That's also 5 times the number it took to carry out the 9/11 attacks that took America to war in overseas theaters for 20 years.
And those were just the ones they caught. Those were by the border agents being freaking vigilant, unlike a bunch of them. You know what I mean?
Right. That's alarming. And it wouldn't take, all it would take is like 4 or 5 of them living together. Right?
Being funded by somebody else. So they have lots of money for their hookers and blow. And they're playing lessons or whatever that the ones were doing.
They're one-way flight lessons.
Yeah.
They're barely...
It's okay. I do not need to know how to land. You don't teach me that. Just teach me how to fly.
I take off, that's it.
Anyway.
That's weird.
Yeah, so that was 2022. Now we're in 2024. So
yeah, that was like
if those
year and a few months old.
If those numbers had continued going up like they were, I mean, there's probably over... I'd say
it would be a few hundred if they continued to increase at that rate.
And those are the ones, like I said, that the border patrol agents are catching.
Not to mention there are other folks here by other means, I'm sure.
Right.
So it's pretty wild.
Well, and to go along with that, there's this other article here from 2020.
Well, hold on real quick. This says over 200,000 people are flooding over the border every month. That's nuts.
That 2022 article?
Yes.
Well, like I said, the latest numbers that I saw is 1.8 million, approximately, immigrants have flooded across our border.
Well, at that rate, since then. Yeah. Incredible.
But, yeah, you found this Fox News by Julia, that's funny. Musto, former CIA officer, Iranian sleeper cells in U.S., a, quote, real threat, unquote, but attack on our soil would be, quote, the new 9/11, unquote, again. So this is a guy apparently works for the CIA, Brian Dean Wright. And it says potential... Former, yeah, he used to work for the CIA. Potential terrorist sleeper cell operations in the United States are a credible threat in the wake of Tuesday's Iranian missile strikes. That happened, that's another story. But appearing on Fox and Friends with host Steve Doocy, Ainsley Earhart, and Brian Kilmeade.
Talk about Doocy.
Yeah. On Wednesday, Wright said that there are unquestionably, quote-unquote, sleeper cells operated and directed by Iranian regime in the U.S.
So this also plays into the U.S. regime's hands too, right? Because they're always wanting to amp up the anti-Iranian propaganda.
The boogeyman.
Yes. So I wouldn't doubt it if they're Iranian funded somehow. Because Iran, wouldn't they want to be plotting the big one? They've been screwed with by the U.S. for a long time, man.
Yeah. Well, and apparently this Wright guy he quoted on that show says, quote, the CIA and the FBI have long had a pulse on this threat, so we know that the risk is there. The other deep concern is that we have to be right 100% of the time to mitigate these individuals and to find this threat. And unfortunately, we are not going to be able to do that every time, unquote.
Telling us.
They probably need to take away more of our freedoms to catch these guys.
Well, don't they have the Patriot Act still?
Yeah. Shouldn't the Patriot Act have prevented all this stuff from happening?
No, they're going to need more.
Isn't that what they wanted to do? That was a creation of the Department of Homeland Security.
More.
Wasn't that the Department of Homeland Security's job to keep these people out of our country?
Of course.
So when they give these migrants a cell phone, are they able to track them?
Oh, yeah, duh.
Of course.
But what are they going to do? Track them and then be like, oh, yeah, this guy was linked. This was this guy after he kills a family. Yep. Turns out he was a terrorist that we thought he was.
Like Timothy McVeigh?
Did he have a cell phone?
No, I'm just saying, working with.
What if he was MK Ultra'd into doing what he did?
Yeah. Said he was at the
Waco.
Special Forces selection and stuff too.
Yeah, he went through some special programs in the Army. It's a whole other can of soup.
It is.
which would be a very interesting one to go into. We should really do an Oklahoma City bombing because there's a lot, especially now. How many years has this been?
Not allowed to talk about it.
20 years later. That was in 94.
Can't talk about it. 95, no? I believe.
95.
Want to kick us off?
I don't know.
Well, we'll throw something out there and see what happens. But anyway, so yeah, with all this corruption happening, all this crap, all these people coming over the border, and then to round off the show here, we're going to do a quick update on our the military too woke to wage war episodes that we did.
That's right.
And Breitbart just came out with a article, 11th of January, 2024, by Christina Wong. And the title is Report, Army Staff, quote, baffled, unquote, by sharp decline in white recruits in the last 5 years.
I wonder why.
The Army's recruiting of white soldiers in 2023 had dropped almost by half in the last 5 years, according to a report. That dramatic decline has coincided with a push by the service to increase recruitment of a more diverse population, according to a report. Man, you tell me DEI is not recruiting white people?
Oh, wow.
Huh. The decline of white recruits has also coincided with the Army missing its target of 65,000 recruits in 2023 by 10,000, which we predicted is only going to happen more the more they push their woke bogusness.
Right.
We're starting to see commercials now that are not so much Emma's moms and drag shows on.
We reported
ships.
on that as well.
But go ahead.
Speaking of commercial airlines, now they want 50% of the workforce to be women.
Oh, speaking of DEI, I mean
color.
Yeah. Well, I've been also seeing like airline pilots or people on Twitter saying that they have communication with airline pilots that say they will not take their families on the very airlines that they fly for.
Yeah, this New York Times headline. The end of the all-male, all-white cockpit. Airlines are struggling to find enough pilots and to diversify a profession that has been very resistant to change.
Oh, is this at Southwest where all of those pilots went on strike for the
vaccine mandate?
Yeah.
This might be Alaska or something like that.
Well, in this article, it continues, it says, at least some Army officials appear to blame Republicans and conservative media for calling out wokeness in the military, as well as obesity and the public education system.
Blame them. They're pansies. They'll take it anyway.
Yeah, the article recalled the Army's campaign to recruit Gen Z, which featured a soldier with two moms, as well as other minority populations that attracted flack from Republicans.
All right.
Yeah, but it said that the Army is, quote, baffled. This drop in white recruitment has, quote, baffled Army staff and isn't easily explained by one particular factor, unquote.
No idea why. And nobody heard about the fact that the military has been, like, purged as well.
Right.
And not only purged as we had it with, like, the Obama administration.
Right.
Purging the general staff, and not only that, but like the officer corps,
and then purging more with the vaccine mandates.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, there was 8,000 service members who were discharged from the military for refusing to be vaccinated. Only 43 have returned.
43,
and this was
total, not percent.
This was back in October.
43 individuals.
I do remember that pastor named Jeff Durbin out of Mesa, Arizona, Apologia Church. I watched a video of his on YouTube, and they had, we're not affiliated. They had a Navy SEAL on there talking about, and he was discharged because he refused the vaccine, and then they won their court case or whatever. Apparently there was a minority of them that didn't take it. He said there were a lot of talkers. But when it came down to it,
it's weird.
Even in the SEALs.
That's strange.
But they won their court case. I don't know if they could be like reinstated as SEALs. I don't know what came of that. Exactly,
why would you want to be reinstated after what they did?
That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't want me. You didn't want my skills. You didn't want me to be deployed every few months, every couple months, be away from my family all the time.
Right, whether it was for training or being deployed.
Just because I didn't want to
And
take an experimental shot.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. What's going on with the separation?
Right.
You gonna change some coding? Do we get some money? Hopefully they get a bunch of money. I mean, I've never been a litigious person, but I'm to the point where leadership everywhere in the corporate world or in the public sector, it's called, is so stupid that if you can, like, if it falls in your lap, take the money.
Right. No kidding. Just like the Capitol Police. Anyways. Speaking of somebody who didn't take the money and run, I guess we're not going to round it off with that baffled one. We're going to round it off with...
Yeah, well, the...
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. Did you send that?
Erock did, yeah.
Well, it turns out that an American journalist, independent journalist, in Ukraine has died in Ukrainian custody. His name was Gonzalo Lira. I believe I've talked about him before. It's been a while. When we were doing our Ukrainian updates, early on, I would mention him and whatnot.
Yeah, we did. We sourced him for info.
Yeah. He died in their custody. And as far as anybody can tell, the only illegal thing that he did was criticize the Zelensky and Biden regimes.
What?
Yes. So the Biden regime, I would imagine, wasn't doing him any favors in getting him back, regardless of the fact that he has an American passport. I think I saw that he was like California born, but exposed some shit. And it's interesting that TeePee put together in the beginning of our podcast the Bulger Biden Ukraine connection.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's apparently a Zelensky Biden Ukraine connection in the fact that they're like bankrolled by the same guy.
Yeah.
Both of them rose up. I can't remember the guy's name. Igor Kolomoisky. So, yeah, this Ukrainian-born but Cypriot Israeli guy. This is something that Gonzalo Lira talked about. Like, bankroll both of them. And then not only that, but this Kolomoisky guy has like a huge Burisma connection. So, roundabout the money that Hunter Biden was getting from Burisma was a Kolomoisky deal. Anyway, yeah, Gonzalo Lira.
That's wrong.
Dead. State Department's not trying to get him back. You didn't hear about him.
Yeah, we're going to have to investigate that further in another episode, maybe with a guest.
Maybe if he was a basketball player.
Yeah, no shit. And Ukraine is a freaking mess right now.
What are you talking about? They're winning.
Yeah, apparently the winning Ukrainians are rounding up women.
I thought they were sending in the special forces, too.
Yeah, they're rounding up women to...
The ghost of Kiev is going to save them all.
No, they're... as we have been saying from the beginning, they are absolutely screwed. The Russian bear is bearing down on them.
Looking at those cities, the images coming out of like the Bakhmut.
Yeah, Bakhmut.
Yeah, Bakhmut. It's terrible, dude.
It's kind of like Putin said. If we're not winning, why does the U.S. and NATO have to keep sending weapons?
Right, and money.
And, dude, Ukraine's done. They're screwed. They're rounding up women.
To fight as conscripts.
Yes.
I'm sure it's some tough men out there.
That's DEI for you.
Too.
No, I think they're all dead.
Oh, well, they still have to have some men forcing these women to...
Actually, some reports are saying, like, you don't see men around Ukraine right now.
No?
No. I think they're all dead.
So they've managed to kill off several generations.
Sounds like there's some ethnic cleansing going on around the world in multiple places right now.
That sounds like a genocide to me, buddy.
Yes. But we've talked about how small of a footprint Ukraine actually has as far as ethnic Ukrainians.
Right.
And it's like just a very, very small piece around Kiev. And then Eastern Ukraine, they are Russians. Western Ukraine, they're ethnic Poles. And I bet the Ukrainians are wiped out, dude, for the most part.
Insane. Anyway, well, that's it for you, folks.
That's all, folks.
For today, for this week.
That's it.
Yeah. If you enjoy this, please like, follow, subscribe, and share.
Tell your friends and family.
Yes. Follow us on YouTube.
At Iowa Talk Guys.
Iowa Talk Guys. It's the channel.
Follow us on Twitter or X.
At Iowa Talk Guys.
And follow us on Instagram at Iowa Talk Guys _podcast.
You couldn't get just Iowa Talk Guys?
It has to be at. Oh, there has to be a character in Instagram, right? Or
No, there doesn't have to be.
The underscore.
I don't know. I just did the podcast right off the bat. Just to make sure everybody knew.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. I should have put that. I can still put that in our Twitter name, I bet.
You might be able to.
Oh, well, it's in like our name, but not our handle.
That's fine.
Anyway.
Well, also, check out the website. We're working. We're doing stuff. Good things are coming. We have some more shows, some more collabs coming up. Some awesome people.
That's right.
You're going to be seeing us around, folks.
Always remember,
don't eat the yellow cake.
Don't eat the yellow snow.
And don't go swimming without a life jacket.
Yeah.
And don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Iowa Talk Guys. Out.
Hi. Good night, everybody.
And I'd rather be here. I'd rather be here. So thank you very much. Very nice. Appreciate it.